Morning, Lori, and evening, Grace, America. I'm Hugh Hewitt. Welcome, whether you're watching on the Salem News Channel, listening to any of my wonderful affiliates from coast to coast, or at the podcast, or on my YouTube channel. Welcome. Opening today's show in this hour with a very special guest. Attorney General Alan Wilson of South Carolina has been my friend for a decade since I first met him at the first Republican Governors Association meeting. Subsequently saw him a second time. I've been there twice to talk about endangered species, and that, Attorney General Wilson sought me out. We had a long talk about it. I found out he's Joe Wilson's son, legendary congressman, and he has been elected Attorney General of South Carolina 4 times, big margins of wins, and now he's running for governor. And I'm so glad you're here so I can endorse you on the air, AG. Good to have you, General Wilson. Why are you doing this?
Hugh, first off, thank you for having me on your program. And you're right, you and I have been friends for over a decade. When I was a first-term Attorney General, and I was starstruck, awestruck to be in your presence. And it's great to have been able to be friends with you over the last 10 plus years and to watch your career progress and to be able to do so many wonderful things together. But it's great to be with you today to talk about my vision for South Carolina, but more importantly, our vision for America. President Trump has done some amazing things. He's a once-in-a-lifetime president, someone that I was proud to support. And what he's been able to do at the beginning of this second term is just incredible. And I was proud to be able to be with so many other attorneys general to support him. The first thing that he said he was going to do that I was happy to support is locking down the border. Hugh, I was at the border back in May of this year, and I met with Border Patrol, and they told me that in May of 2023, just 2 years ago, there were an average of 1,500 crossings per day in that 1 mile stretch of the border. In May of 2025, when I was there, they were down to 4 illegal crossings per day. Why is that important? The vast majority of the drug trafficking that comes into South Carolina and other states is coming through the support of Mexican drug cartels, aided by obviously the Chinese government funding, as well as violent extremist gangs like Tren de Aragua, and they're piping this illicit fentanyl, cocaine, meth, heroin into the states in the interior of the United States. And in just one case, we caught and found enough fentanyl to kill 500,000 people, and it all came from south of the border from during the Biden administration. So when I tell people that I'm excited about we have new leadership and management in Washington, D.C., it really is saving lives, and it's making my job as Attorney General here in South Carolina so much more easy.
I also want people to know you're a soldier. You're still in the reserves. I believe you're Colonel. Is it Colonel Wilson? I can call you General Wilson if I'm talking about you're being the Attorney General. I can call you Colonel Wilson if I'm talking about the Army. Give us a quick recap of your military record.
Well, I've been in the National Guard for nearly 30 years, 29 and change to be exact. I'm a colonel, currently serving a National Guard Bureau in Washington, D.C. I've served a combat tour. I've led soldiers in combat, and I've been on probably nearly a dozen natural disasters in the National Guard here in South Carolina, which I believe is very important for the next governor to have had military experience, both from the leadership and management point of view, but also understanding that South Carolina sits situated in the middle of Hurricane Alley, and knowing how to utilize and work with the National Guard on day one is going to be so important for the next governor. So that is just one of the things I'm really proud of is my military service. And Hugh, you talked about my father. It's not just my military service. He retired from 30 years of military service, and I have 3 brothers. All of us are commissioned officers. All of us serve in the military, and that's something I'm very proud of.
You know, whenever I met your dad in the halls of Congress going to see someone, he always remembered me. I find that astonishing. What a political ability. I knew his chief of staff pretty well, who's now gone into the private sector. But I got to tell you, his memory, are you blessed with your father's memory for names and faces?
Well, I don't think anyone will be as blessed as Joe Wilson when it comes to that total recall, but you're also unforgettable, Hugh. I mean, come on, you're famous. Everyone knows Hugh Hewitt, but anyway.
Radio hosts are not really well known. General Wilson, tell me a little bit about the challenges that Carolina faces, because I think you got about 5.5 million people, and lots of people want to move to South Carolina because it's a wonderful place to live. You got great manufacturing down there. What are the big challenges in the state that make you want to be the governor succeeding Governor McMaster?
Well, first off, South Carolina sits nestled right in the middle of the fastest growing region for economic development in the country. That is the Southeast. We have the deepest eastern seaboard port in the country. That is here in Charleston, South Carolina, and it's 52 feet deep. And when you look at South Carolina, it is situated for amazing expansive growth. I look around the Southeast, you go as far west as Texas, Tennessee, Florida have all gone to 0% income tax. Mississippi, Oklahoma, Indiana, West Virginia, Kentucky have all go to 0% income tax. Other states are cutting their taxes by half of what South Carolina's is. I believe South Carolina needs to go and become a 0% income tax state. That is something that I'm committed to doing on day one. I also believe our state has an opportunity to doge our government from top to bottom and from left to right, and to clean up a lot of the fraud, waste, and abuse that is going on at all levels of government, but especially at the state level. And we want to take that savings, the deterred fraud, waste, and abuse, and apply it toward education and infrastructure so that we can make South Carolina ready to receive the economic growth that will come when we unleash the floodgates of prosperity here in our state.
Now, Attorney General Alan Wilson, what is your campaign website? Not your Attorney General website, but your campaign for governor website in South Carolina.
Well, if you want to go learn more about our campaign, it's wilsonforsc.com. That's wilsonforsc.com. You can obviously contribute, donate there. We would appreciate a love offering. But you can also go learn about issues that I'm championing here in South Carolina and what we're going to be doing as we canvass the state over the next 10 months. So, Hugh, it is great to always be on your program. I look forward to coming back in the near future. And thank you for what you do. Like I said, I've watched you for many years and what you're doing across the nation on the radio as well as other things. And so just thank you for the conservative message you're carrying out there.
I appreciate it, but I like my audience to know. Attorney generals of the state make great governors because they've had to deal with statewide issues. I don't know if you're running against any other statewide elected officer, but if you're not, you should have an easy walk in. It'll be a crowded primary. Everyone wants to be the governor of a growing state. Sometimes hard to find a governor when a state is collapsing like Illinois. But South Carolina is booming. So when is the election in 2026, the primary election?
Well, the election is on June the 9th, and if there's a runoff, it'll be on June 23rd next summer. And you said something about AGs make great governors. AGs are the last line of defense for prosperity and also liberty when you consider, Hugh, that we have had to fight back against the Biden and Obama administrations and nearly 300 legal actions. I have been tried and tested not just on the field of combat in another country, but on the political field of combat here in this country. So I'm ready to take South Carolina to the next level, and I'm just grateful for the opportunity to sell it to the South Carolina citizens.
I have seen you fight for property rights, for religious liberty, for the rights of children to be free from victimization. I've seen you fight to keep jobs for American citizens and legal migrants. I've watched it because you sign all those briefs, you bring all those lawsuits. I don't know how many lawyers have worked for you, and what have you been? Have you been the AG for 15 years?
This January will be 15 years. When I was elected, Hugh, at 37, I was the youngest Attorney General in the United States of America. Now I'm the Dean of Attorneys General, so now the longest serving, but still one of the youngest.
Well, I wonder if you look back at all those, what case sticks out the most? What controversy did you weigh into that you like to tell people about? This is when I was on the front line working for South Carolina.
Well, I mean, obviously working closely early in my first term with people like Pam Bondi, who's now the U.S. Attorney General, and other AGs when we fought back against Obamacare and Dodd-Frank and a lot of those early encroachments by the Obama administration. Obviously, getting away from constitutional issues, there was the Alec Murdaugh trial, which was a very famous trial that captured the nation. There's been a lot of documentaries, but spending 6 weeks prosecuting that case was certainly notable to me and my team.
So in terms of going forward with the cooperation with ICE and with the Department of Justice, Homeland Security, will South Carolina remain a law-abiding state under Governor Wilson, like with Governor McMaster, and help the country apprehend people in the country illegally, or will it go the way of the sanctuary city stuff?
Well, first off, there will be no sanctuary status here in South Carolina for violent illegal aliens, and we're going to make South Carolina a lawful, law-abiding state. We're going to work with the Trump administration to get the people who should not be here out of this state. We're going to continue to protect women and girls in private spaces as well as their sports teams, and we're going to continue to defend the rule of law and prevent the federal government from encroaching on states' rights.
My last question comes from my friends at the American Legislative Exchange Council. They track school choice every single day. Where's South Carolina on that? What does Alan Wilson think about school choice?
I'm a big proponent of school choice. I believe that more options to more families gives children greater opportunities for success in the long term of their life. When you look at children's testing at third grade, you can determine where a child's trajectory will be in the long term. So school choice for as many families as we can provide and as early as we can provide. Early 4K, giving children reading comprehension, phonics, and math comprehension training and testing at the earliest ages possible is going to set them on a trajectory for success for the rest of their life, and it's going to help elevate South Carolina as a state as well.
Well, I'm so honored to endorse you. Glad to have you here. I hope people go to Wilson, F-O-R-S-C, Wilson4SC, which stands for South Carolina.com, Wilson, F-O-R-S-C.com. Get in the game, South Carolina, or if you're anywhere in the country and you want a great conservative as the governor of South Carolina, you just saw him there. If you were watching on the Salem News Channel or heard him on the radio, Alan Wilson is the man. Thank you, General. Talk to you soon. Don't go anywhere, America. I'm Hugh Hewitt.